Good morning, everyone. This is Carolyn Osuyos. I'm a consultant for Elderwerks. I cover the Northwest suburbs as well as our social service clients. I have a few people with me today. Behind the scenes is our summer intern, Dylan. He will be moderating questions, making sure that our technology doesn't fail us. Of course, it won't. And just generally there for tech support. Our main speaker is Jim. Jim is going to be talking about common solutions to improve your home access, but I have to also let you know that Jim, you can see his team member in the back, George. George is an integral part of the sales team, and we'll stand by, we'll tell you more about it. In the meantime, let me tell you about Jim Whittington. He's the marketing director, accessibility specialist at Extended Home Living Services, Life Mobility. We just call him EHLS. Jim's been with EHLS for 5 years as a liaison to state and city agencies, senior and community centers, and hospital rehabilitation centers, presenting safe, accessibility solutions for people's homes. Prior to this position, he was a trauma critical care nurse for over 25 years.
I appreciate this very much. I'm going to get it right into this. You feel free, anybody on this Zoom educational seminar, to ask questions as we go. I'm going to cover a lot of content, showing a lot of examples of solutions that are helpful, accessible solutions that are helpful in the home. And so what I want you to do is feel free to ask questions. I'll be covering costs for these types of solutions, maybe a little construction notes about when we install certain types of products and who the best people are for them. As a company, we've been around for 29 years, so we are the old guys on the block. We have been doing nothing but accessible solutions for people who want to age in place, as well as the people who are acutely disabled and are looking just to be independent in their homes. So we ask probably the most important question, why is accessibility important? Well, 75% of all ER visits over the age of 65 are due to a fall. And we know that the home, which is where we spend most of our time, especially if we're retired, there's a lot of time and opportunity to have a trauma, if you will, or an accident. And with falls, there are certain types of problems that come with that. And one of them are hip fractures, 95% or so. 75% of hip fractures are women, and 300,000 hospitalizations a year for hip fractures, 65 and older. So the population of people who are seniors is getting larger, as we know, every decade. And we're more active, certainly, and we're using healthcare more. However, there are these inherent risks that come with aging and staying in home. So some questions you want to consider. What is the most dangerous area in the home? Well, if you mentioned the bathroom, you'd be right. The bathroom, per the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, suggests that statistically, with all the emergency room visits, that the bathroom was the #1 area in the home for accidents. 235,000 emergency room accidents per year. They suggest that 1/3 of them while bathing and showering, and I can tell you from firsthand experience that is the case. Why are the bathrooms a high risk fall area? Well, if anybody remembers Curly from this is how I was raised, bathrooms tend to be smaller. Now, this little picture is not exactly representative of most of our bathrooms, but most bathrooms tend to be about 5 feet by 8 feet. It's difficult enough to get into a little room like that if you're ambulatory, but if you put yourself on a walker or you're in a wheelchair, then this becomes a lot more challenging. Surfaces are also wet. I mean, they got the sink, you have the tub, there's the toilet, which from occasion can overflow, but most of it is really just stepping out of the shower area or the tub, or when you're washing your hands and face over the sink, water gets on the floor and then it becomes a slip hazard. What is the most common cause of non-fatal trauma related hospital admissions? Right, falls in the home. 1 in 3 seniors fall each year. And if anybody on this Zoom has ever fallen, you know you do not want to do it again. They account for 25% of all hospital admissions and 40% of all nursing home admissions. Stairs level changes, as you can see my dear little relative here collapsing down the stairs. By the way, everything's okay. He's fine. He's a good actor. And if you remember Dick Van Dyke, when he took that first step through the doorway, that was that level change that came down. And of course, then he tripped over the ottoman. But it was funny then, but you know, if you've ever fallen over a piece of furniture or ever missed that one little step in your home, you don't want to do it again. So the obstacles that we try to focus to find solutions for are getting in and out of the house, getting up and down the stairs once you're in the house, also outside the house, and then bathroom independence. We really focus on creating a bathroom that is safe, and you're allowed to be independent. So these are just some common solutions. We'll get into them a little bit more as we get through this. So when we're talking about getting in and out of the house. If we start from the left, now that's a very nice picture of a high-end stair lift. This was actually out of Woodstock. Client wanted a stair lift put in up to her lakeside home and then down to her marina. Now this is not typical, and this was about a $24,000 project, but the family were able to get together and provide this opportunity for grandma to be able to get down there. At the top center, that is an example of a vertical platform lift. You might be seeing them as called porch lifts or wheelchair lifts. It's a single person user in a wheelchair. 2 people can be on it, a caregiver or a family member to assist. But typically this is something that is getting people in and out of their home who may have more than 3 steps getting into their home. In the bottom center, you see an example of a ramp. That's a ramp out in Wonder Lake. It was a young man who suffered an injury during a football game, and they pitched in together to get him a ramp. This was only 1 or 2 steps into the home. So for purposes of economics, aesthetics, we went with a ramp, and it was very easy to get JJ into his home. A small ramp like that is going to be about $3,000. And then what you see on the far right is called an incline platform lift. Typically, these are not the go-to. This was a building down in Chicago where there was a party room at the top on this building, and there was a person there in a wheelchair. So they were allowed to get a lift like this, and it's about an $18,000, $20,000 lift. So it's not the go-to, but it is available for people who want accessibility. What we do is we start right from the front door. If there is a change in a person's ability, or if they're in a wheelchair, if they're in a power chair and they weren't in that before, we look at things like on the left, they're an automatic door opener. You've seen them in schools, you've seen them sometimes in churches and commercial buildings. These can also be put in the home, roughly around $2,500 to $3,000. We can also put these on the interior home as well. They are usually they are usually put in on a common door. They can be put in on a solid core door, and you can have a plate on a wall to activate it, or you can also have them now what's called smart technology. You can use your words to open a door. Door widening is another important solution. Anywhere from 36 to 48 inches is what we're looking for to get that open door area. We can also open up doorways or just walkways through the home, and that project's usually about $1,000. And then railings, whether it's a grab bar attached to a column or a post, or something a little bit more aesthetically appealing like this to be able to navigate that one step. This is important. And something like a grab bar, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but a railing like this is about $1,000, $1,500 to be installed. You can see that a grab bar, which would be like $30 or $40 from Home Depot, and have a family member install it, or we can install it, it'd be a lot more economical and still serve the same purpose. So we talked about the vertical lifts before. This is kind of a common configuration for a vertical lift, or a wheelchair lift, if you will. Typically what we're doing is this person has stairs going, they're about 4 or 5 stairs. We create a new platform to make it flush with the front of the building, the front door entrance. So if there is a wheelchair involved or a power chair, they can roll right into their home. It does hold 750 pounds. We usually create a platform, deck, and stairs over the existing porch and stairs, and so that when there comes a time when they don't need this anymore, they can just take all of this out, or we can take it all out, and they have their home can then be returned to its original condition. This is a product that can go 14 feet, so we sometimes can put them on the outside of buildings. This whole project right here is about $10,000 to $12,000. The lift itself is about $6,000 to $7,000, and then once you bring in the construction, permits are needed. The concrete there, you can see we pour a new concrete pad, gets you around $10,000 or $12,000. Your typical wheelchair ramps, ADA compliant. We follow the ADA for these. For every 1 inch of rise from the ground level to your front door, you need about 12 inches of run. So if you have 2 steps, and code usually calls at each step or riser is about 7.5 inches, then you're looking at about 14 to 15 inches of rise to your front door, which means that you need about a 14 to 15 foot ramp. If there's room, then this is an economical solution. What you see on the top there is an aluminum ramp. It's ADA compliant. They're usually 36 inches wide to 42 inches wide. They have graspable handrails. You do not need a permit to install one of these, because typically we're not drilling holes or pouring concrete, and we are attaching this to the step. We usually will put down pavers if it's on grass, and typically we like a ramp that has it's called a covered ramp instead of a mesh ramp. And typically something like this is going to be like about $3,500 to $4,000. If there's construction involved or aesthetic purposes, the ramp on the bottom there is going to be about $6,000 to $7,000, because you need a permit. We're pouring concrete. There's a little bit more upkeep with and maintenance with a wood ramp. Typically after about 6 or 7 months, we encourage people to stain them or paint them, because the wood will eventually start to deteriorate, and these problems aren't associated with an aluminum ramp. Aluminum ramps tend to last a little bit longer. These can go anywhere from 10 to 15 years in age. We also, for every 30 feet, if a platform is going to be at 30 feet, we want to have turnarounds. We want to have platforms to give people a rest. People with walkers, not the best solution, because if you start to lose control and you're going downhill, those walkers can run into the side rails and cause a fall. People with Parkinson's, it's not suggested that they put a ramp in due to the fact that the challenge with their disability causes issues with them being able to negotiate between their eyes and what their feet are doing. This was actually in Chicago, what not to do. This was certainly not a wheelchair ramp. As you can imagine, getting up this thing in a wheelchair would be almost impossible if you're doing this on your own, and you would still need about 2 or 3 people to push somebody up this ramp. So when we talk about vertical platform lifts versus ramps, I mentioned earlier that if you're looking at 2-3 steps, then a ramp is an economical decision. It's a good solution to get somebody in and out of the home. If we're looking at something that's going to be more than 3 steps, then the vertical platform lift is a better solution. It's a little bit safer. There is no need to propel yourself or have a caregiver propel you. You can just roll right onto this vertical platform lift and push a button and get yourself up to the front door. When we talk economics, though, that is where the decision comes in, and people walk a fine line. A ramp like you see on the bottom there, that's about 15 to 20 feet, is, like I said, going to be $3,500 to $4,000, and that vertical lift that you see at the top is about 10 to $12,000. This is what you don't want to do. This is actually a picture that came out of the UK. It was a 72-inch rise, and so rather than put in an elevator, they thought they would put this ramp in. You can imagine that the client's surprise when they saw this trying to get up and down. That is what you do not want to do. It'll take just as long to get to the front door. So when you're in the house, going up and down the stairs, we know is a challenge. And probably the most common solution in a home is a stair lift. So what you see there on the left are two examples of more common types of stair lifts. On the left, that's a young lady who is actually swiveling in her chair away from the stairs, and that's what stair lifts do. There is a rail that gets installed onto the stairs, and this product runs by batteries. And what happens is this lady rides up on this chair, and when she gets to the top, she pushes a lever there like you see with her left hand, and then she turns that chair away from the stairs onto the platform, and then it locks in place. A chair like that, straight stair lift, typically is going to be about $3,000 to $4,000. There are options for people that have special needs. There's a power swivel option for people who may have a stroke or they have poor dexterity in their upper extremities. And there's a power folding footrest on these as well. Typically, the rail is installed on a straight stair lift about 6 inches away from the wall. And then the chair itself in the low position with the seat down and armrest down is about 23 inches from the wall. What we look for as a minimum width on a stairway for these is about 32 inches. We can certainly get away with 29 or 28 depending on the height of the client, but there may have to be a little side saddle setting. On a curved stair lift like you see there with the young lady on the right, these are much more expensive, but we have a lot of people who live in second story or tri-level homes, and they want to be able to access all levels of their home. The picture you see right there is a little bit more of a expensive, unusual radius. That's called a constant radius, but a typical 2-story, 180 or 90 degree curve where you go up 3 steps, a platform, and then another 8 or 10 steps or so is about $10,000. The more curves that are in the stairway rail, then the cost goes up by about $1,000 each one. We can easily get to $15,000, $16,000 for a curved stair lift. There are used options with chassis with some companies, so make sure you give them a call when you do think about doing something like this. Ask them if they have used products to sell. As a company, we do sell used stair lifts that are straight because the ones that are curved are custom, and a used straight stair lift will usually save you about $800 to $900. Typically, we're selling these for $2,300, $2,400. Curb, like I said, it's a custom rail, so we do not sell those used. There's also rental options. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're coming back from rehab, you don't really know if the stair lift is a good answer for you, then inquire about rentals. As a company, what we do is we rent these for about $1,000, and that covers installation, removal, and the first month's rent. What we find though is that a lot of people will then purchase it because they realize what an advantage it is to be able to negotiate those stairs without the fear of falling. What you see on the right there, indoor wheelchair lifts. We talked about on the far right there, we talked about vertical lifts or wheelchair lifts at the front of the house. We can also put them in garages. And that is actually one of our young veterans who we put one of these lifts in for him in his garage. That helps him to, he's obviously not in a wheelchair. He refused to sit in a wheelchair for us. He was proud, World War II veteran. But you can see what it's doing for him. And then that young lady right there on the left, she's in an inclined platform lift. It's like a flying carpet, if you will, that traverses the stairs. This is a very expensive product. It's about $19,000. But what this allows the family to do is once this platform is at the bottom of the stairs, the rest of the family can still use the stairs. It's not one of our go-to products. Usually in a situation like this, we're either looking at, for economical reasons, a stair lift, or if not, maybe an elevator.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, we have
Yes.
a question, and you can either take it now or defer to later.
Yeah, go.
The question is, I'm considering downsizing from a 3-story home to a smaller single-story home with the plan to age in place. When reviewing properties, is there, 1, a checklist of ADA compliant considerations, kitchens, bathrooms, hallways, doors, etc., that I can use when doing a walkthrough of the property? 2, how do I identify quality ADA certified contractors by the state that could do an ADA home remodel upgrade?
Wow, those are good questions. Yes, there is a checklist. The University of Illinois, Chicago, what's called the ATU department, Accessible Technology Unit, run by a gentleman named Glenn Hedman, has that type of checklist. We have it on our website, or actually I can send it to you guys at Elderwerks, and I'd be more than happy if you forward it on to this person. There are variant checklists that some OTs will use and some PTs will use. The ATU department down at UIC is a group of people that are mixed OT and architects. And so they have a phenomenal checklist to be able to review that. The ADA Steering Committee of Illinois and the ADA unit agency has people who are on that list who can provide ADA services. A lot of times if you go on a person's website, on our website, we have on there under our Better Business Bureau and our other accolades that we have, that we are an ADA certified contractor. So you want to look for that. You're muted, Carolyn.
Wrong button. We have another question that's somewhat related. Is there a guarantee on used products for install? How does this differ from new, or is the guarantee through EHLS? So
great question again. So depending on what manufacturer you use, and we follow the manufacturer's warranty, our typical go-to, our 99% go-to is a company called Bruno Manufacturing out of Wisconsin. And they have a warranty that is lifetime on the rail and on the chassis or the motor of the chair. And then they have a 2-year warranty on moving parts. A lot of the other manufacturers that we carry are about 5 years on a warranty. Our company, when we do a used stair lift, we do honor 1-year warranty on the rail, the chassis, and the parts. And then we also have a 1-year warranty on our labor. Good questions. So now I just want to get into bathroom independence, and we'll just go through a lot of solutions here. We'll talk again about the costs of these things and construction background. So when we talk about bathroom independence, one of the things that we look at is using the sink. Your traditional vanity sink, while it's nice and it's good for storage, it really inhibits the people from getting underneath it or getting your knees underneath it. And a lot of folks who are aging in place are going to be using a cane, or they're going to use a walker. They usually have seats in a bathroom, and so they want to sit down when the gentleman is shaving, or if somebody wants to look in the mirror. So what we look at is a pedestal sink like you see there on the left, which is about $600-700 installed. This allows the person to be able to access from 3 different sides. This is a really good solution for people in a wheelchair. It frees up space in the bathroom, as we know that that's a commodity. And we can also change the height on these as well if we need to, depending on what the client's needs and if they're in a wheelchair or their height. What you see in the middle there is called a cantilevered sink, and this is attached to the wall. So what we want to do is make sure that there's enforced backing in that wall in the form of either 2x4s or 2x6s. And then we attach this to the wall and then create what's called a cushioned P-trap underneath that, so that when you do roll under this or you put your knees under there, that it doesn't cause trauma or damage to your knees. These also are really nice. They're about the same price to install, about $800, $900. This is a very nice ADA bathroom as well. We'll show some examples again of these products, but what you have right there next to the sink is called a Linodil bar. And this actually attaches to the wall. And in this case, you see it attached to the floor. That's bolted to the floor. And then that U-shaped grab bar actually folds up out of the way. And these are really good solutions for this exact situation where there is no wall next to the commode on this side. And we don't want people to turn their body and use that sink as a way of getting up. And we all do, of course. This gives the person the ability to actually just put their hand right out to the left and push up on this with a weight capacity of 400 pounds. What you see on the opposite side of the commode is the horizontal grab bar, which are always a good idea. And then there's also a horizontal grab bar there right behind the toilet tank for people who might be standing and want to be able to brace themselves on that. It's always a good idea to put grab bars all the way around the commode area. This is a popular place for people to fall. The ADA does require a maximum height of 34 inches and 29 inches of knee clearance when we're talking about underneath the sink. What you see on the right there is a nice roll under vanity. This is a popular solution because we know that we want that space to put in our products and our toothpaste, toothbrush, and what have you, and towels. But the challenge with these sometimes is you have to go at them straight on, because if you go in on an angle, if you go in at a 90 degree, there's that risk of hitting your knee on that upright. So we always encourage people to keep being mindful of that when they want this type of solution. And this type of solution is going to be about $1,500 to $2,000 installed.
Hey, Jim, before
Yes.
you go to the next one, another question.
Yeah, go.
Do you buy back a no longer needed used stair lift?
So it's another good question. As a company, we buy back Bruno. Those are the only stair lifts that we will buy back. We'll buy a straight rail with the chair, depending on the condition. And we typically tend to go with chairs and units that are less than 3 years old. However, we know sometimes that these chairs, even if they're a little bit older, can still be in pretty good condition. So we'll send one of our technicians out, or we'll have the client send us a couple of pictures. But those are our criteria: less than 3 years, good condition, and a Bruno. So when we talk about the bathroom, we're still in the bathroom here. We're talking about the tub, a very common place for accidents to happen. Tub transfer systems are really popular. The ones that the chairs, the transfer benches that you can get from the DME company that Medicaid can cover are really good economical solutions. And they sometimes will take up a little bit of room, but it is a good solution. I do not have a picture of that here, but we always encourage people that if they have Medicaid, and this is and money is really tight, which we know for a lot of people it is, that a tub transfer bench is a very good decision, a good solution. What you see here are just some examples of some other solutions. At the top left there, that is called a Tub Buddy. Basically what this does is it comes in two parts. The part that you see there with the chair and the commode opening actually detaches from the part that's in the tub. And then this chair then can be wheeled out to the home, the bedroom, to take the client anywhere in the building. Then they wheel them back into the tub area. They connect the two bars that you see there, or the transfer rails, and then that chair, that commode chair, slides over into the tub. So the client does not have to move at all during this process. This is a solution, though, that costs somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000. So this is not an inexpensive solution. What we're usually doing with these is getting them through the state of Illinois. The state of Illinois has agencies called Department of Rehabilitative Services, Department of Specialized Care for Children. If you have a child or grandchild, these are things that the state will pay for. What you see at the bottom left is kind of your common walk-in tub. And we see a lot of these on late night TV, or when we're watching television, we see the company come on touting their wares on these. These are nice. This one that you see right here is not a very good accessibility product. That little doorway that young man is trying to get into is about 12 to 13 inches wide, which if you're morbidly obese, if you have some challenges with dexterity on the lower extremities, that can make this a challenge. And then once you get in this tub, then you have to wait a good 2 or 3 minutes just for it to fill up with 80 gallons of water. And at the end of your tub, then of course you have to wait for those 80 gallons of water to drain out, which could take anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes, and you're sitting there cold. If it has the jets, the therapy jets, the jacuzzi type of thing, it could be very therapeutic. Cost of one of these installed, depending of course with construction and doing shoring up from the basement or the lower level to make sure that this can withstand the flooring, is about $9,000 to $11,000. What you see on the right there, these are common you'll see them in assisted livings. And what it is a cutout, a tub cutout, where we'll come in, cut a piece of the tub out like that, and then there's this kit that goes over that piece that's cut out, and then it gets siliconed and sealed. This is inexpensive. It's about $1,500 to $2,000 for installation. The challenge with these are, if they're not done professionally, they have a tendency to leak over the years, which can be a big problem. The other challenge is for resale value, when you go to sell your home again, people tend not to like to have their tub taken away and to have this type of step-in thing. Not a common thing in our area. It's really difficult to do on cast iron or porcelain tubs, as that cut becomes more challenging. What you see on the top right is called a bath seat, or a seat assist. You can get this online. I believe Drive Medical makes this or manufactures this. What this is a battery-powered seat lift. And there's little suction cups there that you see on the bottom that go on the bottom of the tub. And there's 2 little wings that flap down over the tub lip. And you transfer over to this tub, up to this seat, and you lower yourself down by pushing a button. And it takes you down into the tub, and then when you're done, you push a button and it brings you back up, and then you transfer off. I believe online these are about $300 to $400, and there's no installation really, so it is a good way to go. I think when we go out and do these, the cost is about $400 to $500.
So Jim, this may be your next slide, but the question is there a bathroom modification solution for a wheel-in shower, no tub configuration?
Yeah, slide's coming up. Good question.
I thought so.
So using the toilet, these we talked about the Linedo bar. That's called the Linedo bar. It attaches to the floor. This is about $800 to be installed, but it's a really good solution for that area where there is no wall, and we talked about that. In the middle, that's a picture of a 3-in-1 commode. We've seen them maybe at rehabs. We've seen them at hospitals. They call 3-in-1 because you can put this over your existing commode in the bathroom. You can adjust the height. I like these because there's 4 legs that are firm on the ground, and so minimal tipping. The more expensive one you can get, of course, the sturdier, the better. And then you can also put these next to the bed during those times when, for whatever reason, you can't make it to the bathroom in the middle of the night. There's frequency issues or ambulation issues. You can put this right next to the bed, and there's a little commode inside of that. Medicare pays for these with a doctor's prescription. They pay 80%, I should say. They cover 80% of these, so it's helpful. These are a really good solution. And then the bidet, I just have that there really just to show people that this is becoming a very popular piece of equipment. They're called washlets in the United States. In Europe, they call them bidets. If you've never used one, you get an opportunity, please try it. It's a great opportunity for people who have minimal dexterity in their upper extremity. They're morbidly obese. We do this with a lot of folks that have ALS or have had a stroke and are unable to provide proper hygiene for themselves. The ones that we install, what you'll see there is a little wand that shoots warm water on the backside. And this actually has a heated seat and a blow dryer on the back. And people will always laugh about the blow dryer thing, but if you've ever gotten up off the toilet and forgetting to wipe back there, it's uncomfortable feeling. So this does offer people the dignity that they deserve if they cannot do this on their own. You can get these online. I've seen them at Home Depot, Menards, Lowe's. Probably your base model bidet washlet is going to be about $200 to $400. We will install these for around $1,000. We need to access the water line, and it needs a GFI circuit in the bathroom. It can be hardwired or it can just be plugged right in. Seat height. Basically, what I'm going to do here is just kind of cover this quickly. We like the elevated toilet seats that attach to the commode, not the ones that you see up there on the top right. We know these are common. They sell them in a lot of DME stores. What I don't like about them is they have a tendency to, people will use them aesthetically to put on when somebody needs to use the toilet, or they'll take them off when company comes over and they'll go back and forth, back and forth. They just kind of get screwed down with a plastic screw and a metal clamp. And if you have an issue on one side versus the other, like if you have a stroke or rotator cuff injury and there's one side stronger than the other, then this thing can tend to flip off the toilet. So we like the toilet seats that are risers that attach to the commode, or what you see on the right side there, that's called a toilevator. It's basically a platform that comes in a kit, and you remove the commode, put this toilevator down, and then put the commode back on top of it. It comes with a wax ring and everything. And this is about $100 to $150 product. We talked about grab bars using the shower. What you see there on the left is something called a super pole or a tension pole. And what's really nice about this is these are portable. We can put these in multiple places in the home. They're called tension poles because effectively what you have is a pole that spreads apart. And at the top, there's a plate with a rubber back, and it pushes up against the ceiling. And then the bottom is a plate that pushes against the floor. And they give you a tool, and you crank the tool, and it spreads the two poles apart. So then you can actually, there's attachments that have like a horizontal bar, like you see that young man using, and you can pull yourself up when you're off the toilet. And then you can put it right next to the, if the space allows, you can put it right next to the tub. That will assist you to get into the tub. When you buy these online, they're about $200. When we come in, we actually bolt them to the ceiling, and that project's usually going to cost somewhere between $400 and $500. Grab bars, like you see that young lady in the middle, traditional grab bar, vertical. Put it where you see her using it. Put it behind on the other side. Anywhere that you feel that you're going to touch to get out, or in an emergency, you just need to grab something. Put them everywhere. I mean, they're $30, $40 in the stores, in your box stores. And a lot of townships will offer volunteer. They have a volunteer program in their senior department that will have people possibly come to the home who have a carpentry background, who can install these for, sometimes they do it for nothing. Sometimes they do have a cost, like a donation to the township. What you see on the right there is just more of an advanced grab bar. It's called a Dependa bar, and that swivels from side to side. And that's about a $100 to $150 product. And so we talked, the question was about showers, multiple different shower types, roll-in showers, step-in showers. They have different price ranges. What you see on the left there is what's called a Best Bath shower kit. There are your late night bath companies that come out with the flexible fiberglass sides. We do not use those because they're not really good accessible pieces of equipment. This Best Bath shower thing here has the backing is plywood. So we are able to put grab bars on this. If you put a grab bar on one of those bath kits, the problem is that you risk pulling that fiberglass wall away from the existing wall, which causes leaking down the road. So these types of these shower conversions are for accessible situations. And a product like this Best Bath Kit is about $7,000 installed. And you want to have the handheld shower like you see there, where it's mounted up high. You can also mount it lower if you're going to be in a chair or in a wheelchair. This is a step in, but that little obstacle that you see at the bottom there, that little step in, can be removed. So now it can be barrier free and you can roll in. The picture you see in the middle is a typical state project that we'll do for an agency, and it's about $10,000 to $12,000, where we're creating a concrete base there with tile up around the walls. This is, like I said, going to be between $10,000 and $12,000 project. It can go up even more expensive. What you see there on the right is a lady who wanted marble put into her shower area, and we put marble on the floor. We slope the floor down. We increase the size of the drain so the water can exit a little quicker. But that project right there is about $20,000. I have the funding sources. There are quite a few funding sources. You got to pick up a phone, go online, get a hold of Elderwerks. I have about 7 slides here that list a lot of the different funding sources. Either they're through banks, or they can be through your local township. They can be through a foundation that will offer funding for this. The VA is a wonderful resource if you are a veteran and you need a solution like this in your home. They have 3 or 4 different waivers that go anywhere from $1,500 to $90,000, depending on the veteran's condition. That will allow you to put in grab bars. The VA gives grab bars, equipment in the home, like the transfer benches and the bath seats, all the way up to an elevator. Like I said, depending on the waiver that the veteran can apply for. So the VA is a good resource. Will County Center for Community Concerns is kind of like it's like a lending program that's called a Pell Grant, that will help people if they own their own homes to either be an low interest or interest-free loan to do modifications. So I will make sure that this gets to the folks at Elderwerks so that it can be used as a resource. Access it anytime you want. We have this on our website as well at www.ehls.com. You can go there to resources and just pick up a phone, call these places, call them and just ask. It's worth it to see if you could get some help. I have a client right now out in, I think it was Plano, and they didn't realize that this would be possible through their township. So they called Will County, and Will County is actually looking at giving her some funds to help with her curb stair lift. She's lived in this house for 45 years. And it's going to be about a $10,000, $11,000 project, and they are willing to give her some money for that. We are doing no contact evaluations and installs right now. Sometimes they can be virtual, depending on the skill level, right, that we have in the home. I'm not so good myself, but we still are doing virtual evaluations if it's allowed. And we're also doing non-contact evaluations and installations. You see our technician there, Jose, who is dressed up in his gear, installing a stair lift into the stairs there. We also have a showroom, and get off of there. We also have a showroom. You can always call, make an appointment at there. What we were doing that in the beginning, making appointments, and then people kept just walking in. We encourage you to make an appointment with us. Call our office. We'd be happy to have you come in, meet one of our sales consultants, test the products before you buy. We come out to the homes. There is no charge to come out to a home and do a home evaluation. You see a stair lift there. That's right behind me in our showroom. That's a roll-in barrier-free shower. We have an elevator there, and then there's a wheelchair lift like you saw earlier on. We are located in Arlington Heights. Our coverage area is out to Rockford, up to southeast Wisconsin and Lake Geneva area. And we also go down to Northwest Indiana. So with 29 years of service, you tend to be pulled around quite a bit. That's it. Thank you very much. I know it was a lot. I hope it helps. You're always welcome to give us a call, give the folks at Elderwerks a call, and we'll be happy to give you information.
All right, Jim, before we wrap, we just had one more question. We're getting back to that danger zone in the bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Floor surrounding the wheel-in shower get wet?
Give me that question again, Carolyn.
Does the floor surrounding the wheel-in shower get wet? So I guess it would be like the center picture where you have the tile and it looks like the toilet's
Yes.
Yeah.
Another very good question. So yes, no matter what you do, we slope the base, whether it's a prefab base, which is one that we would buy for a prefab and we put in there and we grout it, or if we rough it in by using our own concrete, then we slope it down. But there's always going to be water that, for whatever reason, the curtain doesn't go all the way to the bottom. If you have a caregiver giving you a shower, then that always is going to be open. There are curtains that are double, that you can open them up instead of having to go all the way across. What we do is when we lift up the floor and the subfloor, we apply a plastic membrane that goes down over the first flooring, and we extend that out as far as we can, because if there's going to be a leak, it's going to be in that place right there where the tile of the floor meets the tile of the shower. So we're creating that rubber membrane that will prevent that water from dripping down. But to prevent the water from splashing out a little bit into the regular shower area, it's almost impossible to do, and we know the struggles with that.
Well, thank you so much, Jim, for a very informative. You certainly have done this a time or two. You anticipated many questions. I know that the cost information, the estimates were very much appreciated. Right. Once again, our listeners can go, our viewers can go to EHLS.com to see that information. We will also have it available via Elderwerks.